Hey Cachers, Derek here, Big Six Clan. Today I am so excited. I got a special prototype kit from DJW House that we get to try out and build. Let's get started. So many of you may not know who DJW House is. Well, he is a fantastic smart cache builder up around the Chicago, Illinois area. And let me tell you, he has put out some awesome caches that have been featured on several other geocaching vlogging channels. From Joshua the Geocaching Vlogger to Hailmeister to Neil Moore. A lot of his caches have been featured on those channels. And let me tell you, they are fantastic, and many of them are on my geocaching bucket list and many others. But he sent me a kit, and this is a prototype kit so that I could build my own smart cache. Now this cache is a Simon-like cache that's actually going to be going into an ammo can, and it's really cool and it's really simple to build. I mean, the hardest part's probably going to be the soldering on this build. But before we get to the build, let's see everything that's in this kit. So first off, we have our buttons, and these buttons are, we have a red, yellow, blue, and green buttons. All right, so there's your Simon buttons. We also have LEDs, and once again, it corresponds with the buttons, red, green, blue, and yellow LEDs. All right, so what's next is have some 4-screw connectors and some 2-screw connectors. We also have some resistors that we're gonna need for the LEDs, that's what these are for. And we have another type of resistor. Then this is actually the brain of the cache. And what's really cool about this kit is that I don't have to plug it into a computer to program it. It's all right here and it's already programmed. And then we also have a piezo disc. Now this is really cool because this is actually what's going to emit the sound, and it's a really cool way that it emits sound. We'll get to that later. Then we also have the very important part, our PCB board. Now the PCB board is where everything is going to get connected that we have here is going to get connected into this PCB board. And as you can see, everything is already labeled for you in here. So this is really cool. So we'll be able to come in here, put everything in place and solder it in place. And then that's where the LEDs go on the back. That'll actually come up into the ammo can. That is really cool. And then of course, then we have our power. And this complete cache runs off of 2 AA batteries, which is really great. And it has an automatic on and off feature on it. So I don't have to turn it off. The cache finder doesn't have to turn it off, so it's really cool. So now that we know what's all into this kit, let's get to the build. Okay, so before we get to any soldering or anything else, we need to get the ammo can prepped up. Now the ammo can did not come into the kit, but you can pick up one of these plastic ammo cans off of Amazon or out of Harbor Freight or anywhere like that. These are really easy to find, and this is what this one's designed to go into. So now the LEDs are going to come into this section here, and then the buttons are going to be up here in the top. Now what I need to do is actually drill the holes for those, the buttons and the LEDs. So let's get this can prepped up. Alright, so now the ammo can is all prepped with the holes in it for the buttons and the LEDs. So now we're just going to take this and put it to the side. And the next thing is that we got to do is that we got to get these buttons wired up, ready to go into the ammo can. We're going to have to do some little bit of soldering and some tinning of some wires. So let's get that started. All right, so now the buttons are all prepped, ready to go. Now I also added heat shrink to each of these connections because one, it adds a strain relief, but it also, in case that solder breaks, it holds that solder and holds that wire in place to that connection, so it's a lot more secure. All right, so the next thing that we need to do is actually mount the piezo chip. Now this piezo chip is actually really cool because this is actually what emanates the sound of the buzzer. And as you notice, there's no speaker on this at all. What this will actually do is a surface mount. So it mounts to the surface of the ammo can and it uses the can as a speaker. Okay, so now while the piezo board dries with the super glue that I put onto it to the ammo can, we're gonna get to actually starting to mount the resistors and all the other components onto the PCB board. But before I do that, I wanna ask you guys a question. Would you guys like to get a kit like this? Really would like to know. We're trying to figure out what kind of interest there is about buying a kit like this that you could put together yourself. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know. Really would like to hear about it. All right, now let's get to putting these circuits together. Okay, so now everything is soldered onto the PCB board. We have our resistors, we have the brain of it, and then we have where the wires are going to connect for the buttons, the battery, and the piezo. So that is really cool. Now, of course, we don't have the LEDs soldered onto here yet because we got to get those set into the ammo can and then figure out the length and to get them to mount correctly on here. But what's really cool is that on the bottom of it, it tells you which one's what. So you got your yellow, you got your blue, you got your green, and your red. Now, on the LEDs, there is a positive and a negative side to them. And what's really cool is if you don't know which one is which, you can simply take one of these flat batteries. Now, this is a CR 2032 battery right here. And what you can do is the flat side is positive and the bottom side is negative. Now, this is not going to fry your LED, but this is a really great way to test it, to figure out which one is positive or negative, and also to figure out the color, because these are the clear LEDs. So what you do is just simply take your LED and just slip it on the side and just hold it right there. So that's a red. So the longer side is positive and the shorter side is negative. So there is a very quick tip for how to figure out these LEDs. Now let's get them put into the ammo can and get the length that we need before we get these soldered into place. Okay, so now we've got the LEDs in place and the circuit board is locked into place as well. The piezo wires are coming up. So now we need to go in and mount the battery and then put the buttons in and go ahead and get them into the screw terminals, and then it's pretty much ready to test. Alright, so before I put the battery in, DJW House also 3D printed me my logo behind the cache. So that's going to go in here to cover up the circuit board. So let's go ahead and put that in there. Okay, now we're going to put the last battery in and turn it over and see how it works. Alright, there it goes, it's working. Alright, now what you have to do is just push a button and it goes into the game. Alright, there it is, does it. Once it does that, you have solved the puzzle, and then it's going to beep out the combination starting off from the red, green, blue, yellow. Now, I already did program a combination in here, so that's one thing that you can do, but you don't need to plug it into the computer. There's instructions, and no, I did not do this all by my own. DJW House sent an excellent set of instructions for me to follow, so I was able to program it, and there's some great ways to doing that. You can change the difficulty on it, and it's just really cool. Now, once again, if you would love to get a cache like this or get a kit to do this, hey, leave me a comment down below. We're really wanting to see if there's a lot of interest out there to be able to do this cache. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you, DJW House, for everything that you do and for sending me this kit. I absolutely loved it. Really fun. I've been wanting one of these for a long time. But hey guys, thank you for watching, but don't go anywhere. Check out another one of these videos just right over here and check out the story behind the cache.